Hello there. This is Natalia. And I have big hair. So I'm making this video. You can tell by the title that it's got a bit of a oomph to it. So I'm making this video for awareness. For awareness. We all have our perspectives. We all have our experiences. And I've definitely had some life experiences where people don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they say. They don't know what they do. And they blabber. And they're parrots and they repeat what they see on TV or on media or from wherever they witnessed, whatever they witnessed. And not all that they witness is true for everyone. So here I am to speak up about, these are some of the things that people say to me when they think that I'm completely black. So, this video is a spawn off of cultural pressure. I'm not black. I really wanted to bring these examples into the picture of that video, but that video would have gotten double as long. So I decided no. Then there was a part of me that was like, I shouldn't make this video. I should just let it go. And then it just keeps nagging and nagging. And you know what? When I feel like I ought not make the video, make the video. I really feel like people need to be aware of this. Okay? And I'm going to get into it. I'm going to show some examples, and then I'm going to get into some things afterwards. So do you want to listen? These have been my experiences. And, okay, for the record, okay, in my cultural pressure I'm not black video, I make this point of saying I'm multicultural. My parents are two contrasting different cultures, and actually each of my parents are both multicultural. And because I have some African features, people who haven't been around a lot of Africans or African Americans or African derived people or black people think that I'm completely black, and I'm not. And, okay, like, you gotta understand, when I grew up with a Caucasian dad, and I hung out around some white people, okay? And so when people come up to me and they say, you're all black, you don't know what my history is. You don't know that I hung around, my dad's in my life. We're bonded, you know? I used to comb his hair because I was so enthralled by the contrast of the texture of his hair and my hair. So when people say, oh, you're all black, you don't know. So here I am. So sometimes people meet me, and they're really, really innocent, honestly. It's not seething, it's not sneering. It's kind of like, well, I'll get into that later. But people meet me, and they just say things. So some of the things that people say to me, I have a list here, so don't mind me, I'm going to refer to this list. Some of the things that people say to me when they think that I'm completely black are both of your parents colored? Okay, first off, colored. This isn't the Jim Crow era, people. It's not the 1940s. It's not the 1950s. This isn't immediate post-civil rights movement, okay? So it's like, colored was a very degrading, derogatory phrase. And so I always ask people, where did you get that from? And so when people say colored, they think, oh, well, I heard the term women of color, people of color, and you just, well, in this case, that person just fudged it, smeared it, mispronounced it, something, and they end up saying colored, which is a highly charged word. This isn't the 1940s, people, okay? I saw on TV that black people bulge their eyes out really, really big, and I'm like, oh yeah? Well, guess what? If anyone really tried to bulge their eyes out really big, they probably freaking could. And it's not just black people. It's just this type of visual aid tends to go more towards the African-derived person, you know? It's highly, highly exaggerated, you know? Okay, let's try another. Did you and your parents live in a bad neighborhood growing up? Oh my God. Stop. Does your hair grow only that long? Obviously not. Just because it's curly doesn't mean it stops at like a couple of inches or like more. Please. Okay. Some people just still blurt out the N-word, and I'm not talking N-I-G-G-A, I'm talking N-I-G-G-E-R. Like, this ain't the 1940s. This isn't the 1700s or the 1800s. Slaves. Okay, stop it. Okay, like, who are you? Even if it's like in an example, or a person just saying it even casually, like, in a phrase. I gotta tell you something. When you have African blood in you, you're African derived, you're black, you're African American, or if you're mixed, we've been hearing this shit since the 1800s, you know, and then there's like post-civil rights movement, and it's like, we don't want to hear that word. We don't. And I'm gonna tell you something. If there are African or African Americans that like really like are cool with the N-word, then they've been programmed to have a low self-esteem, a low self-worth, because when you call yourselves names like that, it gets in your subconscious mind, and then that turns into like your thoughts, and then that turns into like your speech, and then that turns into your habits, and then that creates your reality, and everybody's calling each other the N-word, and everybody thinks it's a ghetto fabulous party, and it's just like, for me, that's where I'm coming from. And so it's like, we don't want to hear that word. We've heard it a fucking enough. Okay? So, stop it. Oh, you nappy-headed blah, blah, blah. And when someone said that, I actually asked him, where'd you get that from? Where'd you hear that? And it's always some silly-ass media. I heard it in a Stevie Wonder song. And I'm like, what do you think nappy actually means? Curly hair. I'm like, you have curly hair, you Jewish brother? And they're just like, And obviously, you didn't get the definition right, repeating like a parrot your Stevie Wonder song, bitch. Like, nappy is when our hair is curly. And it will like, it's a ringlet. And you can comb it and it can get thick. You can, you know, press it and straighten it. You can dreadlock it. If you don't touch your hair for a couple of days, it'll start to dreadlock. And in African American community, that's a disgrace. It takes so much effort for us to keep our hair intact. So when someone says nappy, like amongst African Americans from one to another, it's kind of like, check yourself, okay? And yeah, there's a little joking or a little bit of like, but like there's still like a respect there. And that's just within the tribe. So when people like hear that and they think it's funny, it's just like, shut up, okay? Okay. Oh my God! I have black backup singers like Bob Marley! Oh my God, a black person! And it's just like, oh my God, stop. And then there's like the cornbread references, the watermelon references, and I'm like, fuck that. Because doesn't almost everyone like watermelon? Doesn't almost everyone like cornbread, even if they're not African derived? Little limited mind states, you see. Okay, can you dance with rhythm? Or if they saw me dance, wow, black people, you sure have rhythm. And it's just like, you know what, if anyone really, really, really got to that, like their rhythm and connected with it, they could have it. I didn't have rhythm when I was 16, okay? I didn't. I taught myself it, okay? Okay, like, these stupid people, they were like, I know you like this video, and then they bust out, like, their iPhone, and they showed me, like, this video of a black woman shaking her ass. They easily could have shown me, like, some Native American people doing a rain dance or something like that. And I'm like, that's just blatantly you, like, being a stereotypical ignorant person. Okay. Now, okay, the last example. Did you ever see the ghetto? Did you ever, like, were you ever in a ghetto? And I'm like, oh my God. Stop it. So, I gotta say, I always ask people, where did they get it from? It's always media. It's never from a first-hand experience. Or if it can be from a first-hand experience, it's from someone who's got a very low self-esteem. All right? Someone who thinks that these words are acceptable or these phrases are acceptable. Now, I also know that in the media, in movies, African-American people make fun of themselves. And they degrade themselves. I really personally don't like it. And then other people see those movies, think it's a big ghetto fabulous party, and they repeat it. And then they say those things to people who have African in them, like me. And we don't, and they're so off. Even in their innocence, they're just so off in a state of ignorance, because it's like their first impression, their only impression, their only example, and they don't know what it's like. I gotta say, like, just ask people. Don't assume. Ask what their culture is. You can ask about these things in a really respectful way, like, and it not be such a fucking, like, ignorant trigger. Or just have a talk with someone about where they're coming from, because actually people do ask these questions, and they're just ignorant. Let's talk about these things and understand where they're coming from, because I gotta say, like, I also meet what you call black enthusiasts, I call them, people who've never seen black people, and they see them on TV, and then they meet someone like me, and they go, oh my god, a black person, oh my god, Bob Marley, tell me everything about your hair, and I'm like, oh my god, calm down, and I gotta really, like, tell you what the fuck is up about, like, cultural etiquette, okay? And, you know, I know I'm not perfect. At least I'm respectful. At least I ask, okay? Okay, I also gotta say, I'm looking at my notes, because this is important. Okay. So, I'm going to conclude with this. We, as people who have African in our blood, no matter how dark, no matter how light, no matter how in between, no matter how mixed, we've been hearing these things since we were born. You know, this slavery was in the 1700s, and a lot of these phrases have come since then. This is not the Jim Crow era, okay? I just want to let people know that we're not our stereotypes. Some people may act their stereotype, but not everybody's going to act their stereotype all the fucking time. And if they are, well, then that's them. Don't put that on me. Don't put that on anybody else. Okay? We've been hearing the N-word since we were cognate to be alive. We don't want to hear it anymore. Okay? And if someone thinks it's acceptable, then like I said, think about how that affects your subconscious mind. Brings your low self-esteem down lower, and then those thoughts turn into words, and then those words turn into habits, and then they turn into beliefs, and then they turn into your reality. And that's why some people think it's all right and some people don't, but they don't understand that ripple effect, that domino effect. And so we've been hearing this for so long. We've been hearing these degrading phrases like colored and nappy hair and all this other stuff for so long. It's different when it is within the tribe because we understand what our culture is like. We understand how far to go. We understand what it's like to live in our skin. We know what it's like to feel our blood. We know what it's like to feel the soul of being African. We know what it's like to just experience our experience firsthand with our DNA. It actually took a Caucasian girl a year ago to tell me, I don't know what you're talking about. I just say these things because I don't know what it's like for you. And I know that other people outside of the African American community or culture don't know what it's like. People don't know what they say. People don't know what they're doing. And so I have to speak up. When I met Angela Davis, I told her some of this. You know, the Black Panther, Angela Davis? And she cried. She held my hand in tears. She went through this shit in the 60s and the 70s. She went to jail for these kinds of things, for standing up for these kinds of things. And she cried, and she held my hand and squoze it, and she said, they don't know what they say, they don't know what they do, so you have to be the one to educate them. So here I am, and this is my video. We don't want to hear it anymore, alright? So I would love it if African Americans, like, stop fucking making fun of themselves, because then it gives other people permission to make fun of us, and then they get upset, and they get attitude, but they don't understand the fucking connection. So I'm here to speak up. And thank you for listening. I've gotten this off my being now, and now I can move on. And I hope you learned something from this, because it really is important. Some people just say, oh, I'm a white boy, and I don't give a shit. And I'm a blah, 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 and I don't care. But some people do care, and I'm one of them. Culture is sacred, you know? And some people just can't help the way their culture is or how they look. So don't just make fun of a person for the sake of how they look. Or how they look, or how they look, or how they look. Thank you.